I'm super excited to start. So welcome everybody to our first ever Pride panel and the first of many to come. This is not the end of Pride Month. We're still celebrating hard, doing as much as we can. We've got rainbows everywhere already. And so before we jump into things with these incredible creators, which I will introduce very soon, I want to do a couple of the technical things. So if you want to look at the event agreements, that will be linked, but I'm going to just kind of quickly run through it on my end. So first, Respect All Love is the host of this. It's a human rights organization that advocates for LGBTQ+ people, diverse media representation, and breaking down societal standards. Through interactive events, shows, and online content, Respect All Love offers a platform for a wide range of voices to be heard and acknowledged, and that is the goal of today's event, is to bring all these voices together for you. Next, I'd like to do a land acknowledgement. If you don't know what a land acknowledgement is, it's taking the time to remember that we are on stolen land and to take a step in learning the history of the Indigenous people who were forcefully removed. We do these acknowledgements also to realize our place in history and to support Indigenous communities today. We're still learning every day, but as one small step, Respect All Love would like to acknowledge that we are based out of Los Angeles on the unceded lands of the Tongva, Kits, and Chumash tribes. To find the land that you reside on, visit native-land.ca, which will also be linked in the chat for you. And we also recommend doing further research to not only learn the names and the pronunciation, but also more of the history. And with that said, through all of our events, we have certain agreements. And so I'm going to touch on a few of them. Please take a look. The gist is, be kind. We're here to learn. We're not here to judge other people or to be right. So speak from personal experience, especially if you join us in the Q&A in Zoom. Keep these things in mind to speak from your own experience and don't make generalizations and assumptions if you can help it. And if you do, just be mindful and apologize if necessary, acknowledge it. Allow everyone to take up space. We love participation and we want to make sure that everyone has a chance. So if you're using the mic a lot or sharing a lot in the discussion, then take a step back and allow others to speak first. We will not tolerate homophobia, transphobia, racism, sexism, ageism, ableism, body shaming, or any other hurtful comments or behavior. What's shared here stays here, and what's learned here leaves here. I love that. So this is a live streamed event, so keep in mind for yourself what you don't want to be shared, like keeping your camera off or using or not using the chat, whatever regard you feel comfortable. So I just want to make sure that's disclosed now, that what's shared here will be shared elsewhere, but with consent. We have consent. Be mindful of triggering language and actions. This is a family-friendly event, and if you do bring potentially triggering topics up, then please give a content warning. This is not a therapy space. Don't offer advice unless people are asking for it. That's not what this event in particular is for, so just don't go there. Respect names and pronouns, including changes to names and pronouns. Back to the all ages things, no NSFW. If talking about politics or religion, which may come up, only state your views without putting down other people's views. If something is crossing the line, like someone's political view is homophobic, you can point that out in a respectful way, but like that's okay to point out. We also open the space for disagreements and for multiple truths. Again, we're not here to be right. And lastly, don't do disruptive things like spamming the chat, swearing rude or crude virtual backgrounds, filters, large preventable background noise. We have screen sharing turned off, so that shouldn't be an issue, or any other like screenshots, or be reasonable. So yes, that all said, let's dive into things, shall we? So I'd like to introduce each of our panelists, and then we're going to go into some performances and give each one of them a chance to talk about themselves and present their beautiful work. So first, I'm Rowan Blackwood. I will be facilitating today. I use they, them, and he, him pronouns, and I'm the founder and president of Respect All Love. But that said, I'm very much humbled and excited to be talking to these wonderful people. I've been just truly astonished with each conversation and watching their work, listening to their work. It's really an honor. So thank you again. I'm going to say thank you as many times as I can today. First off, we have Alicia Champion. She's been a professional producer, composer, arranger, and performer for over 2 decades, with past credits in music, film, and TV, such as Interscope Records, Universal Music Group, MTV, Disney, ESPN, endorsed by artists like Steven Tyler and Patty Larkin. Appeared on Fox's well-known musical series, Glee. And her 2016 release, Bi, which we'll be playing later, has been hailed by HuffPost the bisexual rock anthem you knew you needed. So welcome, Alicia. That bio just hits me every time. So many amazing credits. Next, we have Eva Westphal. She is a 20-year-old singer-songwriter based in New York City. Started writing songs at 13, combining her love of writing with her love of music. She is classically trained, made a transition to pop music with various successful gigs, including Fenway Park, Outside of the Box Music Festival, and being a featured artist on top Boston radio stations. Alicia Keys has pointed out Ava's pure tone on The Voice Snapchat, and Mix 104.1 called her one to watch. She regularly teams up with organizations like It Gets Better, Fluid Project, and Project Heal to spread awareness through music for LGBTQ+ issues and mental health, such as she is here today with Respect All Love. Welcome, Eva. Super happy to have you. All right, next we have Willy Wankme, aka Steph, a drag king by night, merchandise specialist by day. They've been doing drag for a year and have already starred in virtual drag shows and even hosted their own. Through drag, they have found they get to truly be themselves and share their art with people that they love, which is absolutely beautiful. So we're also hoping to have Hope One. I believe she is running late. If you are on our email list or watching our social media, you'll have seen she's a Maori female beatboxer and also has wonderful credits. I will give a fuller introduction once they log on, but let's dive into things. So I believe we will be starting off with Eva's video with a beautiful Taylor Swift cover. Eva, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us anything about the video?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it. So this video I released actually a year ago on Pride Month as well. And I started doing different covers and writing originals with the pronouns that felt right to me in my relationships, which are she, her pronouns. And this was one of the first kind of songs that I made my own. I felt like I've always been a big fan of Taylor Swift, and the one thing that I felt like I couldn't relate to in her music was that she wrote about boys. And so I made this song and kind of like directed it towards my girlfriend. And yeah, it was really fun to shoot this music video. So I really appreciate you featuring it.
Definitely, that's awesome. All right, well, with that loving introduction, let's get into it.
I was like, my hair's gotten so long, I'm gonna cut it.
That was beautiful. I love the message at the end too. That's like, first, if you didn't catch on yet, here's a rainbow. This is gay. But then also like, there's a loving community here for you. I love that. I saw Willy singing along and dancing along with it a little bit. I'm actually going to you next. So if you want to introduce yourself and anything you want to say about your video.
Hi, I'm Willy. They, them pronouns. The fun part about doing this video is I gotta run around my complex looking ridiculous.
Love
That's
that.
pretty much it.
Awesome. So cute. So good.
Thank you. It's always hard to watch myself on the screen, like no matter what.
I feel. We got applause going. I'm jealous. I need to find like those eyelashes. Where'd you find them? Like hot pink
Party
eyelashes?
City.
Where was that?
Party City.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, our last one, Alicia, we're going to share their song Bi, the bisexual rock anthem I mentioned earlier. We're going to share the audio alone. Please dance with us. The video will be linked in the chat, so if you want to watch that. The only reason that we're doing it that way is for a minor content warning on like sexual topics and visuals. Minor, but family friendly, so. All right. So much fun.
Thank you. I had to lip sync. I had to give you some visual. I just,
Yeah.
I had to go along with it.
It was
Thank
great.
you.
I love to see you like rock it out. I'm gonna have that stuck in my head for a while too. The rest of the day, I'm gonna be like, mine.
Yeah, sorry, it's an earworm.
It's all good. All right, definitely check out the link in the chat if y'all want to see the video. It's just as much fun. And yeah, shall we dive into the questions? All right. So just a reminder, we are going to get into the general questions here. But for those on Facebook, if you are watching and you want to be part of the Q&A after this part and ask whatever it brings up for you to these amazing people, go to the Eventbrite, donate $5, and you'll be able to join us in the Zoom and ask whatever you want, respectfully whatever you want, but you know what I mean. All right. So the first question I want to ask is, how does your identity play a role in your art? And let's start with Eva.
Yeah, so I think that once I kind of came out as a lesbian and was proud of that identity for myself, that like the world kind of opened up for me musically. I had never written, literally there's a song of mine that's called I've Never Written a Song About a Boy. And I realized that last year and I was like, wait, like, why have I never wanted to write love songs? And I realized that it was because like I thought that I had to be writing songs about boys, and I just like never ever felt that way. And then as soon as I decided like I wanted to live my best and like truest self, kind of this whole world opened up for me. And now all the songs that I write like have something to do with my identity. Like I feel like I can't really like separate my like queerness from just like the rest of myself. It's all just part of everything that makes up me. And so all the songs I write, whether they're love songs or something else, have to do with my identity and therefore like have to do with my being a lesbian.
All right, that's awesome. Yeah, I've heard that elsewhere and felt that too. Like queer pride of your identity is just part of the art. It's gonna come across. Like just take it or leave it. Yeah, and it's the representation that we need too. Willy, what about you?
So for me, for so long, people put me in this box, and I thought I deserved to be there. So I put myself in it too. I put myself in a box that I didn't even fit in. I thought I was too masculine, too feminine, too little this, too much of that. I think that I pushed myself to experience all these different sorts of gender expression. And when I started dabbling in makeup, I started to catch my stride, and I became interested in drag, and it gave me the ability to embrace the traits that I always thought I had to keep separate. I love that I can have a masculine face, but create this complicated feminine look on it. It's always, I love putting together these like crazy looks. As you could tell, you know, I'm looking fabulous over here. It's really nice that I can present as more masculine and feminine. Once I found Willy, I found me. And there aren't any rules to loving yourself. And now I feel more beautiful and more comfortable being masculine and feminine. And I identify as non-binary, and drag has really helped discover that for me. So that's what's up.
Beautiful. On to you, Alicia.
That's so beautiful, the both of you, and such wonderful work also, Eva and Willy. I enjoyed your videos so much. So my identity, you know, what I put out publicly isn't always completely congruent with what, you know, how I feel inside, because I know I'm a very staunch advocate for bisexuality in the public arena, and I recognize that even that alone is very binary, and I don't believe in the binary at all. But I choose to be an advocate for bisexuality. My motivation is largely to break down the wall between cis and trans, you know, because for me, if I'm attracted to a trans man, I'm just attracted to a man, you know, or a trans woman, I'm just attracted to a woman. And that's one reason that I push that so hard. My youngest brother is trans, and, you know, he's the light of my life. And being any kind of advocate to break down those walls for him as he becomes an older adult, he's just in his young 20s, and, you know, all the generations before, that's what I'd like to do. And you know, if you've seen my video, you know, I'm quite irreverent. I'm very unapologetic about my expressions and sexuality, and that is a big part of who I am. That's very much congruent with my soul. And I think lots of people, especially women identifying folk and queer folk, have been shamed so long, for so many years, about expressions and sexuality, and that's tired. It's over. You know, we need. It's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful parts about being a human, is expressing our love in that way. And once we can break down those walls and destigmatize sexuality as much as possible, and maybe stigmatize other things like violence that are so unstigmatized in this country, I think we move closer to that utopia we are all in search of. So
I love that you brought that up. So many good points. I want to segue into our next question. We can kind of go in reverse order this time. To continue off what you said, have you gotten any backlash or other difficulties in the industries that you work in? I know you work in several, because of your identity.
most definitely. So I'm going to date myself a bit here. So when I first started pursuing music and trying to get a record deal, I was a teen in the 90s, and that was very problematic. I was not feminine enough, and there was no real other option. There were no real queer superstars in the. I mean, you could really count them. It was like Elton John, you know, Freddie Mercury had passed already, George Michael, and like Katie Lang, you know, Indigo Girls, Ani DeFranco, that was later, and that was all still underground, right? It wasn't in the mainstream. They didn't have big hits. If I wanted to be a successful musician as a female, I had to be feminine. I couldn't be, you know, even Annie Lennox, she had that one phase, but then she's feminine, right? And I was talking to several labels, and they had to they told me they had to pass unless I could conform to this one look. And this was before I even understood gender fluidity, right? Brandon Tina's story hadn't even come into the mainstream yet. It was, and we had no internet, right? The internet was just becoming a thing. It's not like I could just go online and find this information. So it did definitely hurt my opportunities pursuing music. I didn't discover the Indigo Girls and Ani DeFranco until I was a senior in high school. I know that was mind blowing. That was revelatory. You know, it opened up a whole world. And so when I went to Boston to music school, I took that spirit with me. Um, but then within the community as well, I shared this with you, Rowan, in our little chat. You know, I first came out as a very militant lesbian in my teen years, but then had an awakening in college, discovering that I'm attracted to men and I can fall in love with men, and had come out a second time as bisexual. And I had no idea the backlash I would receive from within my own queer community, from my own lesbian community, who now called me a fraud. And then trying to fraternize in a hetero community, men being threatened by my attraction to women and not having that space at all, really, until I was a much older adult, when more celebrities started coming out as bisexual or queer, and there was just more representation. You know, you use that hashtag to death, right? Representation matters, but it really does matter. It really does help the collective consciousness get a grip and move on. I'm so excited for the future that greets each new generation, because I see the progress, and I know progress doesn't happen as fast as we want ever, but coming from a time when it seems so much slower, to see where we are now, it's thrilling. It's so thrilling to be in this group with young leaders like yourself. It's wonderful. So yeah, while I did struggle before, I do not find that struggle now, and it's largely because of people like you and this organization. So thank you.
You're so sweet. Well, thank you. I know already the work that you've done has helped other people as well. And it's crazy to see how much has changed and how much still needs to change. Anyways, full conversation could go off of that. But Willy, what do you think about any backlash or difficulties you've had in starting your art?
I got more backlash as just being in the queer community in general at my job. I had the same problem where I was too masculine looking, and so I didn't get a promotion. I was looked over plenty of times. So I conformed for a while. I grew my hair out. I played the pretty girl. I played the role that they wanted, and then once I moved up and I got into the position I wanted, I shaved my head. I started wearing bright makeup. I started wearing rainbows all the time. So, like, I definitely know both sides of the spectrum. Like, I played the role I needed to get where I am. So, do I regret it a little bit? But I am happy I could stand up now and be who I want to be. So, backlash, yes, but progress, pushing forward, yes, as well.
I love that. Eva?
Honestly, I think this is good for me to kind of talk about privilege for being like straight passing. And also, like, I grew up in pretty like liberal areas. Like, I'm from Boston, and like live in New York City, and being like white and thin and like conforming to femininity has like afforded me a lot of privilege and really like protected me from a lot of backlash that a lot of people in the queer community don't have. So I think this question is better for me to like kind of bring attention to that rather than talk about like the very few instances that I've had people discriminate against me for, because it really has been few and far between, thanks to the privilege that I naturally have for those reasons.
Thank you for bringing that up. Really respect that. So next I was curious about any LGBTQ plus role models that you had growing up, because that is hugely important as we're talking about representation. Were there any of those people that you could see that inspired you, or maybe somebody that wasn't LGBTQ plus but still was a role model in some way that helped you get to where you are now? Willy, start with you.
So growing up, I was very sheltered, so I didn't really have anyone to look up to or kind of like pinpoint anything. I didn't really get into the community until 4 years ago. So I don't really have any role models, but I'm very happy that we have a wide span now. So that makes me, that gives me hope for our future. That's all I got.
All right, yeah, I feel. Alicia, what about you?
Oh, most definitely. So, I mean, I said how in my teens there weren't a lot of queer examples, but of the few that we did have in the mainstream, Melissa Etheridge cut through like nobody else. VH1 had a series called Behind the Music, which were these hour-long bio documentary episodes. And I watched the episode, Melissa Etheridge episode, with my mother, and I think I must have been maybe 15 years old at the time, and I just wept. I just wept. I had never seen anyone. Also, the style of singing, right? I don't have a very pretty lyrical soprano, voice that can do, big ballads or, I've got a rock and roll voice. It's husky, and to actually see a woman sing like that, there's so few, right? Like Pat Benatar, Ann Wilson, Melissa Etheridge, right? Um, I modeled everything. Melissa went to Berklee College of Music. That was it. That's if I'm going to Berklee College of Music or I'm not going to college. I got to Berklee. I hunted down Melissa's roommate, who is a teacher at the school now, Lauren Passarelli. I took her classes. I did everything that I could, and it was it was the spirit of Melissa that gave me the confidence to, and the belief that I could actually make something of myself. And then after that, of course, yeah, there were others. The Indigo Girls, Ani DeFranco were huge. When the Lilith Fair tour happened in the late 90s, that was a big deal also. Not so much because there were a lot of queer acts on the bill, but because it was the first time I went to a concert and saw so many just queer women just all over the place. Like I'd never seen so many queer women in my life, not even at Pride. Pride tends to sometimes be just saturated with a lot of male energy. So that was special. And without those influences, without a strong internet presence, I think I would have had a much harder time surviving my youth.
Yeah, people like that make a huge difference, and it's fun to hear what that looked like. What about you, Eva?
Yeah, I think that growing up, I didn't necessarily feel super connected to the community, just because it was kind of a recent discovery for me. But recently, I've really been looking up a lot to Brandi Carlile. She is a incredible like folk singer-songwriter, and something that should have made me realize that I was gay is when I was little, I really only ever cared or listened to like songwriters that weren't men. So that should have definitely clued me in. But now definitely I look up so much to Brandi Carlile. Like she's awesome. And yeah, just like generally any like singer-songwriters in the industry. Yeah, no shade to men, I guess. I mean, always shade to men, but like I feel like I connect so much better to, I guess, like non-binary and like female identifying like singer-songwriters. So yeah.
I love that so much. That made me really happy. Like no shade to men, I guess, but like oh, all right. My next question, we have a lot of young LGBTQ plus and questioning folks here today, and that come to our events and that follow us for that representation and learning and trying to discover themselves. Do you have any advice for those people? We can go on like backwards again. So Eva.
Something that I've been thinking about this question recently, actually, and something that I wish that somebody had told me is like, there's nothing wrong with you. No matter how much you fit or do not fit the stereotypes that of like the community or the feelings that you have, there's nothing wrong with you. That's kind of simple, but I'll leave it at that because I do wish I had heard that when I was younger.
That's definitely an important one. I second that. Alicia?
Yeah, I mean, I also have a great deal of privilege being a young person in the Bay Area. And I recognize that there are so many young people growing up in areas that are not as progressive. And what I want to say I want to echo what Eva said. Absolutely. You are perfect just as you are. And if you do not have the community that you deserve, that will validate you in where you are right now, seek it out. And if it's not, if there's no LGBT center in your town, go online. There are so many resources now. On social media, on Reddit. There are so many community resources. If you're feeling in trouble, call the Trevor Project. There are resources out there for you. So if you're just looking within your nucleus right now and you don't have what you need, it's not because you don't deserve it, okay? Just go out and seek it, okay? And my website is open anytime, aliciachampion.com. I love engaging with young people. So you have consent, you have my consent right now. Reach out anytime. Find the people that will validate you.
Thank you, Willy.
Oh, 1 second. So, oh, well, my notes, there they are. I think the best thing you can do for yourself is be yourself. I know everyone always tells you that you got to be yourself, like, honestly. And the best thing is it's never too late to do something new. It's never too late. Don't let anyone tell you that. I had people tell me that I'm too old to do drag. I can't do this. I can't do that. Look at me now. I'm on this panel talking with you guys. It's awesome. The best thing you could do is love yourself. I'm pretty sure that we don't give ourselves enough love, and we're deserving of it. I know I'm deserving of it. You're deserving of it. And if you can give yourself that, that's enough. And that's the most important thing, that you are enough. And that's all that matters.
That was beautiful. That's touching me, and I'm the one hosting this, but that's going to stay with me, everything that three of you said just now. And I hope it's good reminders for you as well as the people watching. My last question before we start segueing to part 2 is advice for parents of LGBTQ plus kids. Alicia?
Love your kid. Just love your kid. If you don't love your kid, you threaten losing them. Not just physically, but losing a relationship. I mean, is it worth it? Just love your kid and do everything you can to see that they feel happy and safe and fulfilled and loved, right? That's what it's about. Just love your kid. And if your kid brings up something that maybe feels new to you, you may not understand, say a gender transition or anything. If you don't know the answer or you don't know how to feel about it, like I just asked the kids, go and seek those answers out. The resources are there. There are infinite resources now. There is no excuse, okay? You got this.
Awesome. Eva?
I second that, actually. I think that the best thing you can do as a parent is love unconditionally. I think that you kind of make that agreement once you have a child, to love them, support them. And I honestly, my parents have been really amazing, and I feel very, very lucky. And the best thing that they've done is just treat me like their other kids, and love me in the same way that they love, obviously celebrate the things that make us all different, but not ever make me feel like I'm a burden, or like things that I am that my brothers aren't necessarily, like make me like lower than my brothers. Like, just I think that's like for big families in general too. Like if you have multiple different kids, like love your kids equally. Don't set double standards. My parents have been amazing about that. So I think that that's kind of my advice for parents, and like more specific, I guess. But overall, I think Alicia said it.
Willy, do you have anything to add?
I think they hit it on the head. Let them be their authentic selves and love them, because if you want them to be happy, you'll be happy. I mean, that's what we want at the end of the day, right? It's to be happy. So let them be happy.
All right. Well, thank you all for the beautiful messages and art and sharing your stories. How can people find you and support you? If you want to like put links in the chat, we can also go around in the same order if you want to share.
Are we going?
Yeah, go for it, Alicia.
Sure. Yeah. So you can find me at my website, aliciachampion.com. I think Molly put it in the chat earlier.
Yeah.
It's just my name, first and last name.com. And I relish engaging, especially with young people. So reach out anytime. I'm active on all the socials as well. Not so much Facebook, but on Instagram. Yeah, come talk to me anytime.
Same with me, just any social media platform you use, any streaming service, just put my name right in. It's EVA WESTPHAL.
You can find me on YouTube, The Tibbs and Toto Show, as well as Instagram. I don't know if I could say my username on here, but it starts with Willy. So like, and my other account, which I'm super gay on, and I love it, is to Blizzard. I could put it in the chat.
Awesome. All right, well, we have 1 minute. We can also post any of those links on the Facebook chat as well, so keep an eye out. We are going to close up the live stream, and we have an exclusive Q&A in the Zoom, so get your questions ready. And if you're watching from Facebook and not in the Zoom, get in the Zoom. It's Pride Month. The link will be posted again. It's just $5. It will help us get our nonprofit registration, which we've been working towards. And it means we get to do more events like this, talk to more cool people, and support the community. And it's just $5. So come join us and talk to these awesome people. I'll give it like 30 seconds, and then we're going to close it down, so don't miss out. And Rob, if you want to let me know when the links are over there, so it's like safe to close.
Yeah, for the panelists here, if you want to put just links to your socials in the chat. I know Molly has already posted Alicia's, but just so I can copy them over to the Facebook, that way we can get them out there. That would be great. Thank you so much.
And we've had a lot of links going in the chat today, but there's plenty of resources and information, ways to stay in contact with Respect All Love and keep up to date, as well as with these beautiful people. And the video will be posted on Facebook after the live is over, but the Q&A will not. And same for this live portion itself will later be posted to our YouTube channel. So you can get to it either way, to watch it later, share with other people, hear some of those positive reminders again about self-love and acceptance and community. Whatever you need, we'll make sure that that is there for you. All right, I'm going to close it out. Ooh, Spotify page, awesome. All right, that is that. So for the Q&A portion of this, if you have questions, you can either raise your virtual hand it's either under reactions or participants, depending on your device and Zoom version, or you can type it in the chat, mic, whatever you're most comfortable with. I can do it that way. Awesome. We have one question. I'm not sure if it's for anyone in particular. If it is, feel free to specify that. But the question is, being an artist can be hard. On days when you may feel a lack of creativity or confidence, is there a way you handle the tough times? Maybe we can start with Eva.
I literally write like so many songs every day, like at least one or two. So usually whenever I'm sad, I'll just sit down and write a song. And kind of the thing I tell myself is like, this song doesn't need to be my next single. Like I can just write for myself, and there are literally hundreds of songs that I just write for myself and keep to myself. And so it feels like a really like meditative kind of thing. So that's usually what I do when I'm kind of feeling stuck emotionally.
Awesome. Alicia?
Yeah, I mean, I echo that. You know, your emotions are creative gold. Not that you can always create when you're feeling anything really, but if if you can get into the practice of just writing a little bit every single day without the pressure of making it, just like Ava said, anything even complete, right? You know, there's this lovely book called The Artist's Way, which encourages just journaling every day without any expectation, just putting it down, just word vomit, right? Um, and but I understand also that there are times when just can't do it, just can't do it. So just do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. You know, if it's getting outside to just get a breath of fresh air, go for a walk, or go do an exercise, a workout, or maybe just listening to music. You're just losing yourself in some headphones and losing yourself in your favorite artist's music. That always inspires me too. Hearing something I love, and then I want to go create something that's similar, inspires, you know, something like that. Um, just remember to take care of yourself in the low times, and know that everything ebbs and flows. Those low days are temporary. This too shall pass. That feeling is real. Honor it. Say hello to it. Welcome it. Just don't self-destruct. And know that you'll move through it.
Thank you. Willy, what about you?
So when I'm like really down, my self-care is putting on drag. Um, I like to do like the extreme makeup, cover my eyebrows, put on a look, because sometimes it's for no one. Sometimes it's just for me, because there's days where I don't think I'm beautiful or I'm enough, but once I put it on, it reminds me that I'm here and I've come such a long way. But also there are days where like I don't even want to do that. But you know, Alicia was right. Like self-care and taking care of yourself is important. And once you find your flow, it all works out.
I love that. It's like each one of you basically said it, it's like part of self-care, and there's separate self-care as well to help the creative side, but both are important and useful. We got another question. Do y'all have advice on dealing with discrimination in your respective industries? As great as being LGBTQ plus is, sometimes it can be hard to come to terms with discrimination. I can go in the same order.
Yeah, so I think that it can be hard in general being like a queer artist, just because like you feel like your music can be kind of put into a box sometimes, and like you'll like people will only listen to you because you're queer kind of thing. And so like that kind of creates like a complex for me. I'm like, oh God, like what if my music isn't good? And like this is the only reason, and like I maybe want to write a song that's not about this. The one thing that I think I would say is like trust in yourself and trust that like you are a whole person, and that like the things that you put out in the world are just like representations of that. And that has carried me through so far, and I hope it continues to carry me through.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo everything Ava said. That was beautiful. Trust yourself, because nothing is more contagious, more attractive than confidence and self-love. That's the truth. It's so hard, right, to get to that place authentically. It's a lifelong journey, you know. I'm going to be 40 this year and I'm still working on it. But nothing is more magnetic, more seductive, more sellable than honest confidence and self-love. So just hang on to that. Just be yourself and trust in it. Trust in yourself.
I feel like they covered it. Like that was beautiful. it's just, I don't have anything to add.
All right. All right. I got, okay, yeah. Another question, kind of going off of that, how do you feel about centering your queerness within your creative process and expression? Do you feel the pressure to put that part of yourself to the public for fear of not being accepted within the queer community if you don't? Do you find that it's so a part of your identity that it shows itself naturally? All kind of connected, but it's there in the chat if it needs reiteration. And yeah, we can keep doing the same order if that's okay with y'all.
Okay, yes. I think that, like I said a little bit earlier, like my queerness and my sexuality does tend to now, since I've like accepted it within myself and felt like that's just really a part of me, does just like tend to come out naturally. I mean, I've released songs that are like not related to like love or sexuality or anything like that. And like it's still a part of me. And so I think that the queerness does show itself naturally. But at the beginning, it definitely was harder. And I think it all like comes parallel to like understanding yourself. And like the closer I get to finding my genuine self and like being really proud of her, the more likely I am for that just to be naturally part of my music.
Yeah, for me, it was really hard to stifle my queerness and my butchness. I don't know if that's I've always presented very masculine, even without trying to. That's just and I've just never been feminine enough. And not that femininity equates any part of the sexuality spectrum. It's just when I stopped suppressing that, when I stopped trying to be a mold, for any, for any capitalist model, that's when I started to be successful. When I just really leaned into my authentic self. And the more I do it, the more successful I am. I can't help it. It comes out so naturally in everything that I do. This is how I exist. This is my everyday, kind of in between feminine and masculine. I'm very much a tomboy. And while I did experience discrimination, and it was challenging before, I don't find that so much anymore. I mean, queer representation is so much a part of the capitalist lifeblood. They need queer audiences to keep the machine going, So there is value in what you have and who you are. And if any big business is telling you there's not, it just takes one Instagram post to shut that business down, just just have faith. It goes back to that previous question. Just have faith in who you are. And if maybe one day you're feeling less like you want to put yourself out there, put your queerness out there, then that's fine. That's your prerogative. Because you're less flamboyant one day than you are another day. It doesn't mean you're any less queer or that you're doing your community any harm or any extra pride. Just be you. It's the hardest thing in this world is living in it, right? So just do what you got to do to keep your machine going.
To be honest, I feel like sometimes I bleed rainbow. For a while, I suppressed like all the rainbow stuff and being gay and queer for so long. I feel like I don't want to hide it anymore. It's definitely centered around my life. I feel like who I am is very special and I love sharing it with everyone. And I want everyone to share their queerness. That's just my opinion though. Yeah.
That's beautiful. We have another question that I believe is directed towards you, Willy. It says, I am 10 and I want to be a drag queen. I was wondering, where do I start?
Yes, I love it already. YouTube, that's where I started. Look up how to do makeup, look up like dances. Like I'm still struggling with it, but if you just do the research, you could talk to me. Like I'm always willing to like help people out. just, you know, if there's like a queen that you like, watch their makeup videos. If there's someone that you want to like role model, just look them up. Like like you said, internet's your best friend.
So we still have some time for some more questions. If anything comes up, go ahead and put it in the chat or raise your hand or just unmute because we got a small group in here, so that's fine. And if any of you want to like repost your links or ways of content for those that joined in Zoom late.
Even though Hope is not here, do we want to share the video that we had?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, I figured it was a good thing to at least share, because we did talk about it a little. Do you want to read off the bio just so we have it?
All right, so Hope One, who unfortunately couldn't make it today, but still counts as part of this panel, still an amazing human. And like Robin said, we want to make sure we still like give them that space. So she is currently the only Maori female professional beatboxer and one of the top female beatboxers in the world. She began beatboxing as a teenager and made her stage debut in 2004. Hope is a multidisciplinary talent who has supported hip hop artists, performed along choirs, instrumentalists, dance troupes, acrobats, cabaret shows, and even more. Hope is the only female beatboxer to ever appear on Australian Idol, and more recently can be found touring the world with international award-winning theater show Hot Brown Honey, which I recommend looking into. It really is cool. And she's currently working on a new show, Her Story, which is a semi-autobiographical journey on finding one's identity. So yeah, let's show their video of their beatboxing work.
They call me Hope One. 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 Yeah. Hope One. Let's go. yeah. Yo, this is Top One, the beatboxer, and you can follow me at Hope One Beatbox on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
Love that. So glad we got to still show that. And if you want to put their links in the chat so people can go directly and we get to share her info as well, that would be great. All right. Yeah. Love the applause. The shout out to Hope One. Do check out her work. And she does even more different kinds of performances and mediums and things that you can find on social media. And I believe her website is down at the moment, but it will soon be back up and you can find everything there. So with that said, we have another question for y'all if you're ready for it. And that is, can music change the world? Alicia, do you want to start us off with that one?
Well, yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, music changes each one of us, right? I mean, I know for myself personally, there have been several songs that were quite literally life-saving for me. And if it saves one life, it saves the collective, right? Yeah, there are opportunities where some big superstar collaboration can be produced and it raises a bunch of money that helps one organization in one amount. Those are special too. But I think the real change happens when people, one-on-one have a connection with a song that really does change the course of the life of that person. So absolutely, I think music is our universal language, right? Everyone, I don't know a single person who doesn't relate to music. Music, when you take in music, it's an actual physical response. Sound is a sine wave that when it hits you, it actually changes the vibration in your body. It's not just taking in something sonically and having that kind of spiritual experience. It's a physical experience when sound hits you. And so, yeah, absolutely can change the world. And if my one song only affected Molly out of everyone in the whole world, that's huge. That's enormous. So keep creating. Absolutely. Keep creating.
So we'll go to Willy next and then Eva. Do you have anything to add to that?
Wait, was that for me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think music definitely can change the world. I know it's changed my world. It definitely gets me through a lot of emotions. There's always a song when I'm feeling happy, sad, any emotion, angry. I think, yeah.
Okay, I guess it's my turn, right? Yeah, I think music can change the world. Again, I'm gonna second Willy and Alicia. But yeah, I think that music has changed my life. It's saved my life. And it's always a gift to talk to people for whom my music has affected them in some way. So yeah, I don't know. I think it really can. And I think I used to be very cynical and now I'm trying to be a little bit more optimistic and believe in my own potential to change the world. And kind of this is the method that I hope to do that with. So yeah, that's my answer.
Awesome. Our next question is, when you're feeling blocked creatively, what are some things that you do to get out of that funk? Start with Willy and then Eva, Alicia.
When I'm feeling blocked, I usually go to like Michael's or Joann's and I roam the clearance sections or the bead sections and look for creations. Sometimes I even take a jog. that's rare, but it happens. And or sometimes like, so I'm gonna drop this. My wife's an opera singer, so when she sings to me, it always gets my creative juice flowing. So that's another way. Um, that's all I got. Like, go to places, look for creative things, have someone else be creative with you. That helps me so much. Is when I have my wife sing to me or just do creative stuff with me in general.
That's so sweet. Eva, no, go to you.
I think I second that. I try to go out into the world and spend time with people or spend time in places. And then usually it does hit me like just literally the randomest tiny things. Like I was at the paper store the other day and I was thinking of somebody that had like hurt me in the past that like also went to the paper store. And all of a sudden I was like, your denial lines the aisles of the paper store. Like literally just like a tiny little thing. And I was like, just go, like I made a lyric out of like the randomest thing. So just like go somewhere, like do something, and like hopefully creativity will strike. But also I try not to get down on myself if it doesn't. But yeah, spending time out in the world, because like what else are you gonna like really write about if like all you do is kind of just spend time in your own head? Like eventually you got to go out there and experience new things. So that's what I try to do.
So my answer, I think, is going to be a little bit different. Unless you have to create for a deadline, like for example, I work in film and TV. I have to write music all the time, music cues, and there's a very strict deadline. You got to get it done. Okay, whatever. If I have a block, there are things that I do. I go and I listen to music. I go and listen to the stuff in the vein that I have to create, to mimic, right? To emulate. But if I don't have to create for a deadline and I'm in a genuine block, I have learned now to welcome the block and recognize that maybe it's there for a reason, that there's some introspection that I need to do. And maybe just meditate on that a bit, trusting the block will pass. And so there are things, these are wonderful tips from Willy and Eva. Absolutely. You got to get out, put yourself in the feeling of whatever you want to create. But if you have the time, if there's no deadline, if there's no pressure, sit in the block, sit in the block. How does that feel? You know, and ask yourself those questions. And I think you'll find that you'll come out of it pretty quickly. Sit in the block.
That's a great answer. And I hope you're all seeing all the thank yous and positive comments amongst the chat too, that you're getting with all these questions. Such good content. We have another drag related question. He said, I was assigned female at birth. How can I still be a drag queen and get people to know I'm a boy and a drag queen?
Can you read it one more time?
Yeah. I was assigned female at birth. How can I still be a drag queen and get people to know I'm a boy and a drag queen?
Makeup, honestly, I don't think it should matter what other people think. You should just do whatever you want. I do high femme and drag king, so you could really go however you want to represent yourself. You can do certain types of makeup, do certain types of clothing, because like really everything's society put all these like blocks on how things are supposed to be, really, but realistically you can portray yourself as any way and just let people know your pronouns or how you want to present yourself. Yeah, I don't know if that helped, but
Awesome. Do we have any more questions from anybody, or anything that our panelists, if you have anything else that you wanted to address that we didn't, then feel free to jump into.
Felt pretty thorough. I just want to say thank you to you, Rowan, and all your entire team here. I'm so deeply moved and so inspired by your action, your agency in this time. I support you. I'm here to lift up this organization. Let me know anything I can do ever to help support your mission. I am your fan.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me.
I definitely second that. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you for being here.
I third that. Whatever you need, like, you got me. I'm an ally. Anything. I love this organization. I fully support it, and I will push it out into the world.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
will help
definitely.
you.
We got projects and positivity to get out there and change to make, because Pride is not just a celebration. Pride is a riot. I stand by that message. That is important. It looks like we're all wrapped up on the questions. So thank you, everybody. We can post the Respect All Love links again. We have a resource document with many organizations listed, as well as our own. We have an email list for you to stay up to date, as well as all of the main social medias, and the virtual backgrounds. If you like this, or the one that Eva is currently using, you have the link for that to show your pride now or all year long, whenever you want, on Zoom. This has been wonderful. We will have more events coming up soon, so stay in touch. And thank you again to all of our panelists. You're such kind and talented people, and you've inspired me a heck of a lot, and I'm sure those that are participating and viewing as well.
Thank you. Are we signing off now? Is this it?
This is it. I will ask my team to stay back for afterwards, but unless there's anything else, you are free.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I will look forward to when you post this, and we'll share and do all the things.
Sounds
okay.
good.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Willy. Thank you, team.
Thank you. Thanks.